if TikTok is the main platform where music is growing, right? And to go big on TikTok, to go big or go home on TikTok, you have to like perform in the town square, right? So you have to go to the town square and do what the town square wants, you know? And I think that it breeds a certain type of artist that less so is making an art and more so making a content. And everything is just optimized for views. So the music or the art in general kind of becomes secondary, in my opinion. You know, if the whole point is to get views so that people will listen to the music, it turns out that the fastest way to do that, you can't really make good enough music to just always be optimized for views, you know? Or if it's like a 3-minute song isn't going to do as well as a 15-second clip. That's really funny, you know? And I think that there's totally space for that. I think like content to music is a beautiful thing. However, I think that because the subscription model on TikTok isn't really real, because a follow doesn't really mean anything, you don't see the content again, I think that it encourages artists to be less unique and less individualistic, and in the long run, it kind of waters down everyone to be the same commercial sellable sort of artist, you know? Like if you're different in this way, and that way that you're different isn't optimized for views, it's like, well, maybe you should stop being that way, and you should be like this. This gets views. Why don't you do that? And the music will come, but why don't you just fit in for a second and then figure it out later? And I don't think that that's good for the progression of art, especially on the internet. I think that the model on YouTube or the model on Patreon or something like this, you have room to experiment in front of an audience that trusts you, you know, in front of an audience that knows that the content that they're subscribing for is going to vary, and there's going to be experimentation, and there's going to be a uniquity. Is that a word? There's going to be a uniqueness to it. Does this make sense? Something I've been thinking about a lot is that I zoom out on the music industry or any sort of artistic industry over a 10-year period going on the same way that it's going now. And it'll change. Something will change. But I just don't see how like kids starting out wanting to do music will find a place to do music in the current structure that it is. Because it's why everyone starts dressing the same. Everyone starts dressing the same and thinking the same, talking the same. And a song that's big on TikTok is on everyone's playlist all of a sudden. You know, there's no actual underground isn't even a word. Just no counterculture at all. The counterculture becomes main culture. And the closest thing that you can get to counterculture is like not posting it on the internet. Because that's fucking, you know? So I'm curious what happens if the model shifts from just TikTok, from like doing everything that everyone's doing and putting it up and being a part of that, to instead single channels for each artist. Like, I follow this artist, and they do this, and they do this, and they do this, and this is why I like them, because there's a uniqueness to it. They don't go on and do the TikTok dance and like promote the songs, you know? It feels like lying to me. That's what it feels like. I think I've had such a hard time getting close to TikTok over the years, because on one end of things, you either water yourself down and sell a lie, which I just feel like you can't build a career off of a lie, I don't think. There has to be some sort of authenticity, even if the authenticity is absurd, even if the authenticity changes constantly. I think it's true because it's what's felt. I think, I just don't see it being good for art. And I think it's all fine and well if you're not in it for art. But I think at a certain point, people can't just eat shit for breakfast and say, you know, like, at a certain point, art has to disrupt, even on a small scale. It has to do something that makes you think just a little bit. You know, even if you're thinking like that's just cool or something, but it has to do something different. It has to innovate. The whole point of the like avant-garde, it's like innovation. And the whole, yeah. Does that make sense? I think so. Thanks for watching.